I'm Joanne Paquin, and I have been participating in the Work-Based Learning program for the past several months. Work-based learning is an opportunity to go out into the career field of your choice and experience that occupation and all the pros and cons that go along with it. It's a chance to see if that career path is the right path for you, and it's a really wonderful experience. I chose to go into journalism, a fast-paced, unpredictable career path. The major skills needed for this career path are writing skills, computer skills, and you have to be comfortable talking to people, but most importantly, you need to be a good listener. I work at Trilly Publications in Ware, writing for two papers, the Ware River News and the Quaboag Current. The office is located in downtown Ware, about 30 minutes from here. The office is a small one. There are 3 usual employees at the office: Tim, my supervisor, and the editor of the paper, Jackie, who handles the advertisements, and Pam, who basically holds the office together. The office itself is small compared to the large newsrooms often seen on television or talked about in books, but these papers cover 8 towns. The Ware River News covers Ware and Hardwick, and the Quaboag Current covers North Brookfield, East Brookfield, West Brookfield, Warren, and New Braintree. I've been given a small workplace to call my own for the time being, complete with an Apple computer along with many older papers to use as resources. The oldest papers there were published in 1887. The first job I was assigned during my internship was to take a weekly mystery photo. This photo was to be of some recognizable building, landmark, or other item in Ware that the readers of the paper might be able to distinguish. This has been a weekly project that both got me out of the office and gave me a chance to explore the town of Ware. My other weekly project has been to take photos of the Ware River. The paper keeps track of the river, monitoring any changes the river might go through. My picture of the river accompanies this weekly description. My third weekly project is a section in the paper called A Look Back. I go through papers published in 1902 and pick out articles that sound interesting. I need 2 articles that fall under the following categories: top news, interesting advertising, people and places, as well as sport notables. The articles had to be of the local area, preferably of Ware. I had to pick out a visual from the paper as well to accompany these articles. Back in 1902, there weren't any photos, only drawings in the paper. Most of the time, these drawings were very, very intricate, as can be seen in the following examples. The biggest thing I did as a journalist was write stories. I've written 3 stories thus far. The first was on a Gap community, a Christian community in Hardwick. I was required to go to the community and talk to the members and ask them questions as well as take photos. I wrote about the history of the Gap community as well as an upcoming celebration they had been planning for a while. The next story I wrote, I had to do the same thing. This one, though, was about a calendar with photos from the lost villages. The villages pictured in the calendar were destroyed in order to make way for the Quabbin Reservoir, hence lost. This particular interview was done over the phone, something that was awkward at first, but easy to get accustomed to. The third last story I wrote, I was kind of like a book review on the history book written by a man in Warren. The story required me to go to the man's house for an interview, which was intimidating at first, but ended up being a lot of fun. I brought a friend with me to be my photographer, and we stayed for an entire hour and a half. The man was so passionate about his stories that he didn't want to leave any details out. He also had many props and visuals to show me, which added to his excitement greatly. I loved his enthusiasm, but I couldn't use all of his ideas and thoughts in his story, so I had to summarize most of what he said. I felt bad about it, but it was the only thing I could do. High school has been most beneficial. Any type of English class would benefit you in this field, or rather, any class that requires you to write. Writing is probably the most important skill you can learn in high school that will benefit you in the long run if you decide to pursue this career. Writing for a school paper, taking public speaking classes, as well as journalism classes would also be helpful, but if I'm correct, Munson High School doesn't offer these programs. Classes about media is beneficial as well because journalism is the media. Taking computer classes like multimedia applications, a class offered at Munson High School, would be very helpful. You learn about computers, how they function, as well as special applications that can help you as a reporter. Journalists will also often double as photographers, so photography classes could also be helpful. If one decided to go into a more photojournalistic approach or telling stories through photography, classes like digital imaging is helpful. This class offered at Munson High School opens up the world of Photoshop and all the pros and cons associated with it. If you're not a math person, that's okay. Journalism doesn't really require any math besides for simple things like addition and subtraction. Work-based learning is very different from high school, if you can't already tell. High school teaches you things by having you sit in a classroom, write notes, take tests and quizzes. Work-based learning is a more hands-on way to learn. You get to leave the school and participate in an occupation that interests you, and by doing this, the experience is much more personal. You can go out and try your hand at being a firefighter, a police officer, a teacher, a baker. You can learn what exactly a vet does, and learn about lawyers and their practices, or test your skills with journalism. The world is at your fingertips with this program. You have the opportunity to dabble in anything you please, as long as it is legal, and that's something you can't really do sitting in a classroom. I chose journalism for several reasons. 1, I love to read, and 2, I love to write. Some things you do a lot as a journalist. I also chose to go into journalism because I am a good listener. I like listening to the stories of other people and then conveying them through words on paper. It's something that's not only enjoyable for me, but I also think I'm kind of good at it. I'm not the most outgoing of people. I'm really rather shy and I can't really talk to others, but I can listen. Being able to listen to people for a living and then being able to put those stories down onto paper thrills me, and I think I'd be good at it. The written word is very powerful, and I like being the one who creates that written word. From this experience, my people skills have improved greatly, as have my writing skills. Before this experience, I only wrote essays for my teachers to read. At Ware River News, I wrote things that hundreds, if not thousands, of people were going to read. This idea didn't really scare me, but rather it thrilled me. I can remember seeing my name on the front page of the Ware River News. It said, Joanne Paquin, reporter, and then my story was underneath it, accompanied with the photos I took. That was the coolest thing for me. I was on the front page of a newspaper. Also at work-based learning, I learned the proper format for writing in the newspaper, as well as some of the correct terminology reporters and journalists will use. Another thing I got to do on a weekly basis was edit the paper. This was done at the Palmer office, and this is where I really learned the correct format for things and really improved upon my spelling and grammar. One mistake, and all the readers of the paper would be able to see it. I hope to go to Emerson College in Boston and pursue my journalism studies. They have a fantastic program and internships with Time Magazine, National Geographic, the Boston Herald, and the Boston Globe, as well as opportunities in Washington, D.C., Los Angeles, and other countries all around the world. The college is located right in the heart of Boston, so there will always be plenty to write about as well. After college, I'm hoping job opportunities will be easier to come by. Since newspapers have basically evolved into online columns, finding newsrooms that are hiring is difficult, but all the printed media and online media was written by someone, and I hope someday that someone will be me. A reporter writing for a newspaper, a magazine, an online column, a website, or something of that nature. And maybe that writing will evolve into something greater like a novelist. I want my writings to inspire the world, to move people and evoke change. Like I said before, the written word is powerful. It can evoke emotion, initiative, and action. It can change a person's views, beliefs, or ideas. The written word is purely inspirational, and I really hope to inspire people. Journalism is truly a wonderful career path, and thanks to work-based learning, I was really opened up to it, and I encourage you to check it out.